Hey real estate investors and entrepreneurs, I'm going to share with you today the number one tool we use to build long-term generational wealth by using advanced estate planning strategies. So stick with me today. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it, guys. This is our estate planning strategies from Royal Legal Solutions. We have over 2,000 real estate investors all over the country and entrepreneurs, and we protect over $2 billion in assets since 2017. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about this. My name is Scott Royal Smith. I'm a real estate attorney. I'm also an asset protection attorney. I'm the CEO of Royal Legal Solutions and a longtime real estate investor. I have built Royal Legal Solutions from the ground up. It's a modern law firm. It's completely virtual. We serve clients in all 50 states with over 25 staff members currently. So today we're talking about estate planning, and there's some key features to estate planning that you need to understand to make sure that you're going to be protected in the event that anything happens to you. So this is both during your life and after you die, right? So you need to make sure that if something happens to you, how can other people help to take care of you and your finances? And if you die, how do you make sure that your kids are going to be taken care of appropriately, or that your money goes to where you want it to go to your parents? Otherwise, guys, guess what? The government is the one that makes those decisions for you, and I know we all don't want that. None of us trust the government to make the decisions of what needs to happen with our families. So let's talk a little bit about some of these key features. First is we have the healthcare power of attorney. This is going to be the piece that allows somebody to step in to make healthcare decisions for you if you're incapacitated and can't make those decisions. You have your last will and testament. This is typically the type of document that says, when I die, everything that's in my personal name, I want that to go to whomever that would be. You have your durable power of attorney. This is the ability for people to step in and be able to sign documents for you, pay your mortgages, otherwise take care of your finances in case that anything happens to you and you're incapacitated. You have your living will and your directives to the physicians here. That's going to be in the case of like, hey, if I'm going to be a vegetable or I'm going to be permanently comatose, I really just want to let me go, right? Don't try to do all these crazy life-saving measures to extend my life. I'd rather that you just let me go. It makes it really easy on your family when you can tell them that these are actually my wishes, because guess what? When you're in that state, you won't be able to do that. And then you also have your revocable living trust, and this is a tool that we use to avoid probate court. And probate court, everything that you own gets exposed to the public record, and that anybody that says that, hey, that you might owe them money will come after your family and your children at that point. And so it's very important to avoid probate court and to be able to keep all of these assets owned anonymously and passed anonymously to your heirs. So some common myths about estate planning that people run into is they think like, hey, I don't have enough that it's going to matter if something happens to me, or that this is only for people that have kids, or I just don't care, or it's complex and scary, or it's expensive to create and maintain, and none of those things are true. It's actually very easy to do. This is for everybody, not just people that have children, because if you care what happens to your stuff when you die at all, then you will want to have an estate plan in place to be able to take care of that. We've been able to create these estate plans in a way that it's very streamlined and very cost effective. So these benefits that you can get from doing the estate plan is that you can get stable wealth growth over time just by ensuring that you say, hey, if anything happens to me, I have other people that can step in to make sure that my finances are being taken care of. That allows you from having any downside to your finances if something happens to you. This allows you to create a legacy that you care about. So if you're somebody that wants more fulfillment out of your life, think about what are the things that you can impact after you're gone as well. And you can build your life in a way to have impact during your life and after your life is over. You can also use this to protect your loved ones. Like we talked about with things going to probate and the bad things that can happen to your family at that point, you're going to want these protections in place to avoid probate and therefore protect your loved ones. You're going to be able to protect your assets and your wealth by avoiding those complicated court systems. You're going to be able to have those held anonymously so people don't attack them. And it's also going to be held in a way that you're going to be, in some circumstances, to be able to avoid those high taxes from the estate planning taxes if you're somebody that has significant wealth. And then lastly, by doing a properly structured estate plan, you can maintain anonymity over all of your assets in life and after you pass. So the question is do you need an estate plan? And the answer to that is yes, because it's part of the bigger picture. When we look here at this is what we call the Freedom Temple. We have a couple of key places. It's where you create your wealth, you save money on your taxes, you protect all of everything with these your asset protection strategies. Then you try to create time leverage to free up your time. And then overall here, you're looking at creating a legacy. Then lastly, what you get is you get higher levels of personal fulfillment. And here, this is our legacy planning. What am I doing all of this for? What is all of this hard work for? And it's for your legacy. So when should you get an estate plan? Well, you don't need to get an estate plan if you don't mind letting the government take your money when you die. This is actually a real thing. The government can actually just seize your estate. In some circumstances, if you don't have an estate plan in place, it's called getting escheated to the state. If you don't have any assets at all, then you don't need an estate plan. And if you don't have children that you need to provide for, who's going to take care of them if you die, you wouldn't need an estate plan. If you have less than $50,000 in total net worth and you also don't have any children, I would say maybe not invest inside of an estate plan. Or maybe something very cursory, right? Like maybe get like one of just those forms online and do it just because maybe your net worth doesn't really justify it. Or if you don't have a business at all, if you have no business operating at all, you wouldn't need an estate plan because, hey, you got nothing there to pass. But you will need an estate plan if you want to pass your wealth to the future generations. If you want to control how your assets move to your heirs, not allowing it just to simply go to the government. If you want to protect your family from probate court, or you have significant assets, anything more than $50,000, or you own a business, you must have an estate plan to be able to protect that business and those assets and make sure they pass appropriately to your heirs. So this estate plan, the estate planning tools that we're talking about are going to give you lasting protection. They give you ultimate control over your health and wealth. They protect those that you love and your family by providing safety and security to them for how the assets are going to pass when you die. And also for any misfortune that happens to you during your life and you're permanently injured, it gives them the tools to be able to help you and vis-a-vis help them by taking care of some of those things that if you don't have put in place with a power of attorney and healthcare power of attorney, nobody will be able to help you. Nobody can step in without that documentation. And that's part of your estate plan. So when you're building a legacy that lasts, what we always recommend is that you follow a couple of key steps that we've learned as best practices, right? You want to have clarity in your goals by creating a written plan. You want to have specialized tools to leverage your time and money. And you want to find a mentor or a guide that can help you. So in this story, right, you're Luke Skywalker, you're the hero, we're Yoda. We're the people that have done this thousands of times for all different types of investors and entrepreneurs. And the real evil here is just the knowledge, lacking the knowledge and the confidence to take action, because taking action is so easy. Getting this done is actually so easy with the streamlined processes that we have, that all we have to do is you just have to be Luke Skywalker sitting with Yoda, and Yoda's going to be able to teach you, okay, here's the pieces of what things you need to do, right, to harness the force and go out there and save the universe, right? And that's what we are talking about, but just in this estate planning context. So just to give you an idea of how it works, is your estate planning works where everything in your life is structured inside of the estate plan, which helps you minimize your income taxes and probate costs. And this helps you provide for your family. So everything in your life that you would have would then pass to your beneficiaries, which could be your family, your charity, whatever it is that you care about that you want it to pass to. Your components of your estate plan with your power of attorney. Your power of attorney is going to relate to the ability for somebody else to step in any place that your name is listed. So your name is listed, say, on the mortgage, right? And you want somebody else to pay the mortgage. Well, your power of attorney lets them pay the mortgage on your behalf. And your power of attorney is going to relate to everything in your life, right? The ability to manage your affairs with your life insurance, your taxes, your joint property, give gifts to family, etc. Now, key point here, if there's things in here that make you feel uncomfortable, say, well, I actually don't want somebody to have that power. Great news that you don't have to have it. You can limit these power of attorneys to be as narrow or as wide as you want them to make sure that people only have the powers that you want them to have when handling your affairs. So your estate plan is going to consist of a number of different pieces here. It's going to be your durable power of attorney, which allows you to handle legal affairs, your medical power of attorney, which is allowing somebody else to handle your medical affairs, your living will, which is how tells people how do you want to be treated in the event that you're permanently incapacitated, and like, hey, do you want to be on life support or not? Your HIPAA authorization, which is the ability for people to have access to your healthcare information to be able to act on your medical power of attorney. You have your pour-over will and living trust, which is the two documents that set it up to take care of all of your assets in your life. All of the assets should be held inside of the living trust. Anything that you forget to put in your living trust would then be in your name. Anything that's in your name, the pour-over will at the time of death says pour it into the living trust and let the living trust distribute it accordingly. And then you have your declaration of guardian, which is the individuals that will then take care of your children, and that's spelled out inside of your estate plan as well. So with a pour-over will, that's anything you forgot to put into the trust. The pour-over will take that, and then at the time of your death, pour it into your living trust. But we want to try to keep everything in your life inside of this living trust during your life as much as we can remember. That's why we meet with all of our clients quarterly to ensure that, hey, we do a cleanup to take all of those assets and make sure they're underneath the living trust or an asset protection entity underneath the living trust. And this is how you can keep your assets anonymous. You can avoid getting caught in probate court. You're the ultimate owner of everything, and you get to control the money when you die instead of the government, and you can control the process during your life and after for what happens to the assets and who will get what and when and under what conditions will they get that. So we talked about the three main pieces here: your HIPAA authorization, which is going to be people being able to act. Who do you want to have access to the information about your healthcare decisions so that way they can act on the second part, which is your healthcare power of attorney when they're making those decisions for you because you're incapacitated, and also your durable power of attorney, which is who can make those financial decisions for you to either a very limited or a broad scope, whatever you decide is going to be most applicable, and we can help guide you through that so you can make the appropriate determination of what's going to be necessary and what's going to be extra. So when we look at estate plan, what we're going to be looking for, if we don't have anything put in place, everything will go through a probate court, which means it's all part of the public record and it's pushed through the court system, and it's subject to all kinds of creditor attacks. So what we're looking for is an estate plan to be able to take your estate, push it through a trust, which is here like a living trust, and using the wills and the powers of attorney to be able to help cover the gaps for anything that got missed or any bumps that happen along the way. So your estate in general terms is going to be just everything that you own. That's why we call it an estate plan. And if you're high enough net worth, you can actually be subject to an estate tax. And so if you're at that net worth level, which can be changing with different administrations, they'll pass different laws. We'll keep an eye on this estate tax threshold and be able to ensure that if you were to die while underneath our care at Royal Legal Solutions, that you would have the minimized taxes in place. And when you're looking at the probate court, we're looking at that formal legal process of going through that court system. That's the court system that we're trying to avoid by having a living trust and a proper estate plan being put in place. Now, in the trusts that we talked about today, there are just generalized trusts that you can work with Royal Legal Solutions. That would be asset protection trust, for example, or land trust to produce anonymity in the ownership of your assets. Those are different than the trusts that we're talking about for estate planning purposes. Estate planning purposes, we're talking about a living trust. This is a type of revocable trust that you see down here that becomes irrevocable at the time that you die. And that's what's special about the living trust, because during your life you can change it, you can do whatever you want to because it's a revocable trust. It provides no asset protection of its own, but when you die it becomes irrevocable, and now it's held inside of that irrevocable trust as part of the living trust. Now, with your wills and power of attorneys, I think we're all familiar with this term will. Your will is just a document that says, hey, anything that I have in my name, I want it to go to X person or X entity whenever I die. And it'll be any assets that are in your name at that time. What we use is a pour over will, so it says when I die, anything that's in my name, pour it into the living trust. At that point, distribute it accordingly. Your living will is just the management of the healthcare decisions for you, so you can have those spelled out. And your power of attorney is when we're looking at, hey, either your healthcare management or we're looking at your financial management. So beyond the estate plan, what we're looking for is higher levels of protection of the assets, because just the estate plan alone doesn't protect the assets from lawsuits. So what we're looking for is typically a more comprehensive plan. You can see here this is bread and butter at Royal Legal Solutions, where we have an asset holding company that holds all of your assets, cash, stocks, real estate, everything during your life to ensure that if there's a lawsuit, you lose little to nothing, and that you can own your companies and your assets anonymously. So if people are looking to sue you, it looks like you qualify for food stamps, and guess what? People don't sue people that qualify for food stamps. We also set up an operating company to help protect our clients, because even if you don't own anything in your personal name, your credit score itself is an asset, because that's your access to financing. And we believe that everybody should have an operating company to set themselves separate as their face to the world, so that way they're protected from any transactions that come up, and that overall is your best protection. An operating company is your vault, an asset holding company, which is your vault to hold all of your assets to ensure that if you're ever sued, you lose little to nothing, and an operating company to protect you personally and help you save money on taxes by use of solar 401ks, self-directed IRAs, and other benefits. And for those that are $1 million plus in total net worth, we also have options to include things like the bridge trust and other foreign trusts that even give a higher level of protection to move assets offshore if that's ever needed. So some frequently asked questions here is typically says, what do you need to fill in on the exhibits at the end of a living trust? Do we fill those in or someone else? So the exhibits that you're going to find inside of a living trust document are going to be things that you're going to fill out. We're happy to advise on those with you. So those are going to be the particular provisions of the living trust that are going to be the specifics of who's going to get what and when. And your comprehensive estate plan that we put together at Royal Legal Solutions is going to include a pour-over will, a living trust, a healthcare directive, a HIPAA release, and a power of attorney. This is your 360 coverage of everything that you would need inside of an estate plan, and to cover all of those major and most common life events. When you're looking at who should get copies of your estate plan and who should get those, you will have a digital copy that's signed. We as a law firm will have a digital copy that's signed, and then anybody else could have a digital copy as well. You can also print those and store them inside of your safety deposit box at your bank, and take any other measures that you would need to. But now in that instance, we would have multiple digital copies that are held in multiple locations, as well as physical copies. We believe that's sufficient in terms of to ensure that the right people will have access to those documentations if anything were to happen to you. And anything that you want inside of your estate plan, it's 100% customizable. So as you review that documentation with the staff attorneys and paralegal team here at Royal Legal Solutions, we would be able to help customize those to reach any specific goals that you might have. So thank you guys so much for joining me here today. What I'd like you to do right now is to go to royallegalsolutions.com and to take the quiz. That's going to give us all the basic information we need to be able to know how to best serve you, how to best be able to pair you with the right information, the right videos, the right webinars, as well as to be able to make the right initial recommendations when we are able to talk to you on the phone. So go to royallegalsolutions.com right now and take the quiz. Thank you.